is y'all to tell me what he diagnosed with, what he look like, what he sound like. Y'all don't know nothing about God. Y'all don't know nothing about nothing. You talking to me like that. So I rebuke everything y'all saying about my child. To be honest.
It's time to just say what it is so that you can stop being embarrassed and harboring that guilt. I literally spoke what I saw because I was in
Chrisean Rock. The room was quiet, too quiet. Not the kind of silence that feels peaceful, but the kind that feels heavy, like something is about to change forever. Chrisean Rock sat there, waiting, holding on to hope with both hands. Because when it comes to your child, you don't prepare for bad news, you pray for miracles. But what the doctors said next, it wasn't what she was ready to hear. For a long time, people have watched Chrisean's life play out online. The highs, the chaos, the love, the pain, all of it. She's never been someone who hides her reality. If anything, she's known for showing everything, even when it's messy. But this time, it wasn't about headlines or drama. This time, it was about her son. When she first became a mother, everything shifted. You could see it. The energy changed. The priorities changed. Suddenly, it wasn't just about her anymore. It was about protecting someone who couldn't speak for himself yet, someone who depended on her for everything. At first, things seemed normal, just a young mother figuring it out, learning day by day. The sleepless nights, the constant worry, the small victories, all the things every parent goes through. But then, small concerns started to creep in. Nothing loud, nothing obvious, just little moments that didn't feel right. Maybe it was the way her son responded or didn't respond. Maybe it was the way he moved or the way he reacted to sounds, or even the lack of certain reactions that other babies seem to have naturally. At first, she brushed it off. Every child develops differently, right? That's what people told her. Don't worry too much. He'll grow out of it. You're overthinking. But a mother's instinct doesn't just disappear because someone says relax. If anything, it gets louder. And that's when everything started to shift. She began paying closer attention, watching more carefully, not just as a mother, but almost like she was trying to solve a puzzle. Every little detail mattered, every movement, every sound, every silence. And slowly, that quiet concern turned into real fear. Because deep down, she knew something wasn't right.
But here's the twist. Knowing something is wrong and hearing it confirmed are two completely different things. So she did what any parent would do. She went to the doctors. At first, it seemed routine. Checkups, questions, observations. Nothing too alarming on the surface. But then the appointments became more frequent, more serious, more focused. Doctors started asking deeper questions. And that's when everything changed. What nobody expected was how emotional those moments would become. Sitting in those rooms, waiting for answers, watching professionals observe your child like a case study. It does something to you. Because you're not just hearing medical terms, you're hearing possibilities, outcomes, futures that you never imagined for your child. And in those moments, time feels slow. Every second stretches. Every word feels heavier than the last. Chrisean tried to stay strong. You could see it. She held herself together, listening carefully, asking questions, trying to understand everything. But inside, it was different. Inside, she was breaking. Because every parent dreams of a certain life for their child. You picture their first steps, their first words, their future, their happiness. You don't picture obstacles like this. You don't prepare for uncertainty. And then came the moment, the conversation that no parent ever wants to have. The doctor sat her down and explained what they were seeing. They didn't rush. They didn't soften it too much either, because sometimes the truth doesn't come wrapped in comfort. They told her that her son might be facing developmental challenges, that certain signs were pointing toward delays that couldn't just be ignored or brushed off. And just like that, everything stopped. Not the world, not the noise outside, but her world. Because hearing those words, it hits differently. It's not just information, it's a shift in reality. And that's when everything changed. She had questions, so many questions. What does this mean for his future? Will he be okay? Will he live a normal life? What did I miss? Could I have done something differently? And maybe the hardest question of all, why my child? But here's the thing about moments like this. There's no clear answer, no simple explanation that makes it all okay, just uncertainty. And that uncertainty, it stays with you.
What nobody talks about enough is the emotional weight that comes after the diagnosis conversation, because that's just the beginning. After that, it's a whole new reality. A reality filled with appointments, therapy discussions, research, opinions, and constant decisions. A reality where every step forward feels hard-earned. Chrisean didn't just hear the doctor's words and walk away. She carried them, every single one. And you could see the change. She became more protective, more aware, more focused, not just on her son's needs, but on the environment around him, on the people around him. Because when your child needs extra care, everything matters more. But it wasn't just about medical challenges. It was also about public pressure, because her life isn't private. Every move, every moment, every expression, people watch it, judge it, comment on it. And suddenly, something deeply personal became something public. People started speculating, questioning, offering opinions that they weren't asked for. Some were supportive, but others weren't. And that's where things got even harder, because dealing with something like this as a parent is already overwhelming, but dealing with it while the world is watching, that's a different level of pressure. Imagine trying to process your emotions while strangers debate your life online. Imagine trying to stay strong for your child while people question your every move. That kind of pressure, it doesn't just sit quietly, it builds. But here's what makes this story different. She didn't run from it. She didn't hide. She faced it, day by day, moment by moment, even when it hurt, even when it felt unfair, even when the answers weren't clear. Because at the end of the day, none of the noise mattered more than her son. And that's what people started to notice. Not the drama, not the headlines, but the shift, the way she held him, the way she looked at him, the way she spoke about him. There was love there, real love, the kind that doesn't disappear when things get hard, the kind that grows stronger because of it. But love doesn't erase fear, and that fear, it was still there. Late nights, quiet moments, thoughts that don't go away, wondering what the future will look like, wondering how to be strong enough, wondering if you're doing enough. Because when it comes to your child, enough never feels like enough. And that's the emotional weight she carried, not just as a public figure, but as a mother. And that's what makes this story hit so deeply. Because strip away the fame, the noise, the opinions, and what you're left with is something real. A mother trying to navigate something she didn't expect. A child who needs her more than ever, and a future that feels uncertain, but still full of hope.
Because even in moments like this, there is hope. It might not look the way you imagined. It might not come easily, but it's there. In every small step forward, in every moment of connection, in every sign of progress, no matter how small. And maybe that's the part people don't talk about enough. This isn't just a story about heartbreak. It's also a story about strength, about resilience, about a kind of love that doesn't break under pressure. It adapts, it grows, it fights. Because at the end of the day, being a parent isn't about having all the answers. It's about showing up, even when you're scared, even when you're unsure, even when the future feels heavy. And that's exactly what she's doing, showing up for her son, for his future, for every moment that matters. So yes, what the doctors said was hard to hear. Yes, it changed everything, but it didn't end the story. If anything, it started a new chapter. One that's not defined by fear, but by determination. One that's not built on perfection, but on effort. One that reminds us of something simple but powerful.
Life doesn't always go the way we plan, but love, real love, finds a way forward anyway. And maybe that's what this story is really about. Not just the pain of hearing difficult news, but the strength it takes to keep going after. Because sometimes the most powerful stories aren't about perfect outcomes. They're about people who refuse to give up, no matter what they're facing. And this is one of those stories.